Okay, this is take two. My internet connection was not having it a second ago. So let me know if you are here. Say hello. Let me know if the video quality is doing good or if I am stalled or freezing because it has been a morning of that. But hello. And sorry, I'm moving things around, getting distracted. Hi, Jessica here. So thanks for being here. Today I wanted to talk about my thoughts on the finding your ideal audience phrase and two things you could focus on to bring people into your world, to be a magnet, to get them to want to be a part of your story and follow along on your journey. So when you are here, say hello. If you're watching the replay, say replay. And again, let me know how the quality of the video is doing, if I'm cutting out at all, because it was a little sketchy a moment ago. So I'm excited to be live in the group. I feel like it's been a little bit since I've done a live. It feels like forever. I am working on the summit, so that is coming along really nicely. I'm really excited for that. It's October 18th through the 22nd, the Art Business Convo. Video looks good. Hey, Patty, thank you so much for letting me know about the video. So yeah, it's been a little sketchy today, so I'm glad that it is rolling along just fine. So the reason this topic comes up with finding your ideal audience and why I posted that I'm fired up about it, because I think, okay, so this came up with one of my coaching clients recently. And when we first were getting started, that was one of the things that we wanted to work on, that after our time together, what do you want to have accomplished? What do you want to learn? And it's finding my ideal audience. And from even when I first started out, like that is like with every entrepreneur, with any business, it's like this basic 101, find your ideal audience. And it's never sat with me really well because as an artist, I was always thinking, okay, well, first of all, how do I find my ideal audience? Well, you have to visualize. You have to visualize their demographic, their age group, even down to do they wear a trendy hat? Like these are things that I have been told or have heard throughout the 7 years of being, a business owner. And I wanted to share this because when I was talking with my client, it was almost like a light bulb on this connection on what I know now about my audience and why I know what I know. And then what I was told from the beginning, what we're all told, it's this basic one-on-one. And it's so important. It's so important to know your audience. But I know the disconnect is always, well, how do I imagine my ideal audience if I haven't found them yet? If I don't know my ideal audience, how am I supposed to imagine their demographic or who I'm supposed to be appealing to? So that's what today's talk is about. Two things that have really worked for me over the years that have helped me grow my audience, and not just grow it for the sake of numbers, for the sake of more people, but actually grow it with raving fans, with people that love my artwork and want to buy it. So it's grown it with filling it with buyers, and also people that may never buy my artwork, but they enjoy it. They enjoy my story, they enjoy coming along on my journey, and those are your raving fans. Like Marisa Corcoran says, the 3 R's. We want our audience to be people that remember you, rave about you, and refer you. And having people in my audience that I know, they have even flat out said, like, I love your work. I will probably never buy a piece because it's not, it doesn't fit my aesthetic, but they share my stuff. They share it with people that they know. And so that is a lot of today's talk, that I really want us to nail down how we get in front of those people, but more so how do we bring them in as like magnets into our world. And I've got my notes. And if you see me, like, I've got my new ring light too. I'm so pumped. Like, I had a professional light, but man, these ring lights really, really light you up, and they do get hot. So, well, mine gets a little warm in here. So if you see me sweating. Don't judge me. Okay, so when we talk about our audience, the thing that I don't want to say is wrong, but the thing that has always been irritating to me is exactly what I mentioned when they would say, to find your ideal audience, you want to find their demographic, their age group. Do they wear a trendy hat? Where do they like to eat? Where do they, and you start building this avatar of a person that would be your ideal buyer, your ideal audience. And what never sat well with me for that was it seemed like a redundant exercise. Like, how is this going to help me? How is knowing someone's age going to make a difference on how I show up, on how I create? Oh, the video's cutting out again. Man. Well, this is no fun if it's cutting out. Patty, keep me posted. I'm going to try to keep pushing through this to see. I even have my phone on airplane mode so that I don't get a whole lot of interruptions through that. But I do feel like when the weather gets warm, my Wi-Fi starts going a little haywire. And here in St. Louis, buildings are made of brick, so it does not help for Wi-Fi service as much. All right, I'm going to keep rolling. So when it comes to, keep going, fingers crossed. When it comes to the demographic, and it comes to the age, and it comes to the fancy hats, what I'd like us to really focus on instead, what I'd really like us to think about differently, is not exactly who your audience is, but more so what your audience likes. Because one of the reasons why putting together this avatar was difficult for me throughout my business here. I thought it was me. I thought I wasn't doing it right. You have all of the experts saying to create this avatar, but I was like, while yes, I do have more women than men, as they identify, that follow my artwork, but when I have age groups, my artwork spans anywhere from, my buyers have been anywhere from 30 to 90, it just spans so much. It's like I can't really pinpoint one specific person. What I think about instead is, what does my audience like? So the two things that I really want to talk about and I really want to address and I really want to share that has served me in growing my audience with raving fans and being a magnet. Because I know a lot of times when we're thinking about our audience, it's how do I find my ideal audience? But I want to flip that and be like, how can I draw in my ideal audience? And the first thing, really, and this is going to sound so basic, but it really is to just be yourself. So, when I first started out, I was saying things that I thought that I needed to say. I was trying to, put on a personality or show up like I thought how I was supposed to show up as an artist. And as time went on, the thing is, when you do that, you just get watered down. Your messaging is watered down, and it's not really grabbing anybody because you're not being memorable. People aren't remembering you. So when I finally started being myself, not trying to act like other artists or saying what other artists are saying. Like when I really and it felt so much better too, when I showed up just as myself, saying what I wanted to say, sharing my artwork how I wanted to share it, that is really what started drawing people in. Again, I wasn't going out and finding my ideal audience. They were coming to me because they knew who I was. They knew what I was all about. Like they were able to tell, like I wasn't putting up a front. I wasn't being this, watered down message of an artist. I was really showing up and just being myself. And I know, again, that sounds so basic, but when it comes to our audience, people want to feel connected. And the way they can feel connected with you is to you to actually be yourself and share your personality. I did have several times ago in the art business, evolution in my course, there was an artist in there, and she, a great artist, she was, growing the whole audience and really getting started more so. And I noticed that when she kind of gave up with the watered down messaging, the watered down, inspirational things that she thought everybody wanted to hear, she stepped into who she was, which is someone that, is a little rough around the edges, someone that curses, someone that is just like raw and is who she is, and, whatever. You could really see this difference on who she thought she had to be, just like this watered down artist, like she wasn't grabbing people, like people weren't connecting because she wasn't showcasing who she was. Now when you go to her social media, now when you hear from her or whatever, she is, authenticity is key. It sure is. And so now people know who she is, and people know either I like or I don't like, and that's what we want. We want to be able to be so cut and dry, so clear on who we are, because that's going to draw people in, and that's also going to deflect people that we don't even want in our world anyway. So number one, it really is honestly being yourself, because again, that turns the table from finding your ideal audience to having them gravitate towards you. The second thing is kind of what I mentioned already, but to flip that idea, to flip that concept of finding out who your ideal audience is and focusing on what your ideal audience likes. So for example, I'll take even just my artwork, for example. When I stopped focusing on the things that I've mentioned a million times, like where did they shop, how old are they, all of this stuff, and I really just said, okay, what do they like? What do they like to see? When I create abstracts, who am I drawing in with my abstract work? Who is really showing up for that? Who is buying that? Who is sharing it and giving me feedback on it? When I paint my florals, are people enjoying that? Who is giving me feedback? So again, I'm not focusing specifically on, it's starting with me, I guess is the way that I want to say it. The finding your ideal audience, it starts with you. It starts with you being you, and also you sharing and creating things that you want to, and then from there getting the responses, seeing the responses, learning what people are responding to, what they enjoy. And then that kind of goes into like this talk on data, which I'm not going to talk about today. But when I'm able to see, okay, people are responding really well to my abstracts, I should share more of that. And the people that, respond to my abstracts, they are, and from there you can start getting a sense of your audience. Because if I were to tell you my audience, and I know my audience pretty well, but I more so know what they enjoy. I more so know what they like to see from me. And again, as artists, I never want that to come out as create just what people want to see, just create what you think people are going to buy and invest in. Because obviously, like my mantra is, as artists, we should be creating what we want to create, and the right people will come to us. It's the whole idea of magnetizing, being who we are, so our audience comes to us instead of us having to go out and find them. Being rooted in who we are and what we're sharing and what we're creating is going to bring in your ideal audience. So it's almost like a 180 of that whole turn of phrase, finding your ideal audience. Be yourself kind of thing. I know that is like so cheesy as I'm saying it. I'm just like, ooh. But being yourself is what's going to draw people in. Creating the artwork that lights you up and sharing it in that authentic way that lights you up is what's going to draw people in to follow your stuff, to purchase your stuff, to share your stuff. Now I'm talking about stuff, it's our artwork, but we'll just call it stuff for right now. But those are the two main things. And still talking about the number two, because I'm looking at my notes. When you focus not on who your ideal audience is, but instead focus on what your audience likes, then you are able to also pin down different things. So like I mentioned with my abstracts, when I have an audience that enjoys the abstracts, I'm like, okay, I'm getting responses on this. Then I know where to, then I know what hashtags to put into my next, round of abstracts that I'm going to share. Then I know things like where I should show up, where to, share my artwork because people enjoy abstracts. Then from there, you can kind of start pigeonholing what to share, where to share it, where that ideal audience is. Does that make any sense? So, looking at my notes, I definitely don't want to miss that. Knowing, I want to phrase this. Knowing your audience, more like that with number 2, with knowing what they like, that will definitely allow you to get more laser focused on where you need to show up. Okay. Great way to think about this. Thanks, Patty. Yeah, that is, I see we now have 3 people. That is actually the end of this talk, and I'm glad that it stopped cutting out so much at the end. But really, the reason that this phrase, finding your ideal audience, it is a phrase that I've even used, in Art Business Evolution. But the phrase is not more so going out and finding your ideal audience. It's more so being yourself, creating artwork that you want and sharing it. It's more so not finding your ideal audience, but knowing what they like, allowing them to come to you. So if we start thinking about it, not more so who your ideal audience is, but more so what your ideal audience likes, that is the key thing. Because when I first started, I really thought I was doing it wrong. I really thought that I could not create an avatar, and here all of these experts are telling me to think of this actual person that's going to enjoy my artwork. But at the end of the day, what has served me so much in my business over the years to draw in people that enjoy my journey, enjoy my artwork, buy my artwork, share it with people, share opportunities with me, it has always been the fact that I stopped being so watered down and I just showed up, said what I wanted to say, shared what I wanted to share, stopped putting so much stress on sharing the right thing or having the right personality or, blending in with all of these other artists. I became memorable because I didn't just share watered down messaging. I shared like what my day was like. I went for a run and XYZ. And then the second thing was the fact that I started sharing artwork that I enjoyed to create, that I loved creating, I loved promoting, and I loved sharing. And that's when I started recognizing, okay, people are learning about me, they're learning about my artwork. And then from there, it's just created this really nice, authentic marketing. It is marketing at the end of the day that feels good, that doesn't feel like I'm trying to be somebody else. And more importantly, it has drawn in people that actually know me, that actually enjoy me and know that I'm not just someone that's putting on a face for social media, but they actually get a sense and a feel for who I am. And that is the key thing, is that authentic connection with our audience. So I hope everyone has a great, is today Wednesday? I think today's Wednesday. Have a great Wednesday. I will be in touch and we'll chat soon. All right, bye.